Well, hey everybody, this is session 2 and looking forward to this session. This is a segment of small group ministry that is kind of forgotten, but I believe is one of the most important areas of small group ministry, and that is, if you'll notice on page 18, your ongoing support. How are you as a small group leader, going to be supported on a regular basis? So if you have a question, if you have a situation in your group, if you have a need in your group, who do you go to? Well, a lot of times there's a lot of small groups, and the small group pastor or director at your church or your campus can't handle all those calls. So many times, the best way to handle that and provide a support base is to have what's called coaches. And a coach would be someone who is just a go to person for you as the small group leader. Many of our coaches at our church have 1 to 5 groups that they coach. As of late, we're starting to challenge new coaches just to be a coach of one. So your coach, you could potentially be their only group they coach. That coach most likely leads their own group, and then they're available and coach you. And they're a coach because they've been successful at leading their own group, and they know the ins and outs. They've been doing it quite a while, and they've most likely said yes to take on one group, one leader, and help mentor them along the way. So check out your notes there on page 18. I've subtitled it Our Commitment to You, Communication. And the communication between a coach and a small group leader, or a small group director and a small group leader, is so important. Communication is two-way. It's just not the director or coach to you. It's also you to the coach, you to the small group director. And if that communication line is really good, then your group's going to be much more supported, much more healthy. So check out a few points I've made there. The first one is a contact monthly. And what that is I've challenged our own coaches, maybe at your church or your small group director. The structure of it would be that your coach contacts you, the leader, once a month, or your small group director, if you don't have a lot of groups, contacts you once a month. That contact might be in person, maybe between services on a weekend at your church service, maybe during the week over coffee. It could be over to their home for dinner once a month. Uh, it could be just a variety of ways, but it's a contact, and the reason for that contact is just to be there for you, to hear your heart, hear how your group's going, hear how you're doing personally, and troubleshoot anything possibly that you might need help with. Okay? So your small group coach is your go-to person. Any situation you face, you should never feel alone. Okay? You should never get to a point with your group and think, what do I do? Who do I talk to? Your immediate thought will be your coach, if your campus or your church has a coaching structure. If not, and until they do, it's your small group director. Your coach will call you regularly, monthly, or as the Lord puts you on their heart, to check in with you personally, to see how you're doing, ask if there's anything your group needs, if anything you need personally, how can they pray for you. I would encourage you, if you receive a call from your coach, maybe you get a voicemail or you get a text, please call them back. You know what I mean? Call them back and let them know specifically what it is going on in your group or in your life. Because me, as a small group pastor, I'm looking to our small group coaches for information on how their small group leaders are doing. And so if they've not heard back from you, they're not able to tell me how you're doing, and I'm not able to tell my senior pastor how all of our groups are doing. So it just kind of works its way up. I hope you get that. If you're going to miss a meeting, just be sure to communicate with your coach. If you have coffee planned or you're supposed to meet after a service or between services, just communicate. One of the best forms of communication these days is by text. So, because you immediately see it on your screen when someone texts you. So just be a good communicator to your coach. Your coach will be a good communicator to you. And then it goes down even one more step from you to your small group members. And if there's good communication all the way up the line, then everything will be much better. You can also see the resources and boundaries document in the resource section. This will help you when it comes to communication and communicating with your coach on a regular basis. Okay? If you'll turn to page 19, you see there's a few more things still left under that whole the second session, and it's called one-on-ones. That contact where it can be just a voice contact, it can be by phone. We also encourage our coaches to have a one-on-one time with you at least quarterly. So this would be where they would sit down with you for coffee or have you over for dinner. It's just important that you have time together face to face, at least a couple, 2-3 times a year. So your coach or your small group director is going to attempt to do that with you. And then next is group visits. We don't ask our coaches to try to visit all your groups. If they can, great. If you want them to come and sit in on your group to give you a better gauge of how they feel it's going, invite your coach to come. Anytime your coach comes, they're not going to be there just to grade you as a host or a leader. They're not going to be sitting there with a clipboard checking off things you've done well and what you've not done well. They're going to be there to support you, be there just to feel the overall flow of the whole group, and they're your cheerleader. They're there not to try to find you doing things wrong, but to help you be better and help your group be the best it can be. The third thing listed there on page 19 is something we call leadership dinners. Your church might consider this, or your campus might consider this, but this is a quarterly dinner where if you're a smaller church or a smaller campus, you would bring all your leaders together, say on a Sunday afternoon late, 5 to 7 p.m. or so. All your leaders bring a dish. You, most likely the coach or small group director, host it. If you don't feel like you have an adequate home that's large enough, maybe you can talk to one of your small group leaders who maybe has a larger home and ask them to host the quarterly dinner. But the quarterly dinners are amazing. They're just a wonderful time where you can gather with your peers, other hosts, other leaders, and fellowship, eat together, troubleshoot, share about things in your group you need help with, and usually there's another group leader there that's been through that, and they'll support and help you. We always have a training element. That's like a 15-minute training on how to choose the best curriculum or how to set up a yearly calendar, how to plan a service project. And then there's just a lively time of more fellowship. We also pray together. It's just a wonderful time. If you're at a church or campus that's larger, you might have to break those quarterly dinners into different nights, to where one night maybe you have all men's and women's leaders, and on another night you have all your married small groups and maybe mixed small group leaders come together. Just all depends on capacity. But it is most important to have these quarterly dinners in a home, in a warm home, not at the church fellowship hall or somewhere. Put it in a home. So when you're teaching and training and talking about small group, you're able to use your own home as a prop, the kitchen as a prop. We always do that when we host our quarterly dinners. So anyway, any questions you have on how to have a great quarterly dinner, you can email me as normal at joe@harvestchurch.tv. And I might pass your email to my wife because she's the best quarterly dinner leader and planner that I know. So anyway, flip the page 20. Now, we went from our commitment to you, your small group director, your small group coach's commitment to you. Now it's your commitment to your coach, all right? Communicate, communicate, communicate. You see that there. The biggest frustration I have sometimes with some of my coaches is not I'm frustrated with them. They're frustrated that their group leaders, their hosts, aren't communicating regularly and consistently to them. So please communicate. Your commitment to your new group is also really important. So as myself or your coach communicates to you, you communicate back to us. Then as that's going really well, as you communicate to your new group, to your group you're hosting, they're going to communicate back with you. And so it just goes all the way down each line, everybody communicating well. So everyone's on the same page. Everyone knows how everyone's doing. And it makes the whole small group ministry healthier. You see a few points there I put under your commitment to your new group. When you kick off your new group, you will want to be sure to communicate your commitment to each of the group members, that you're going to be available for them, that they have your phone number, that they can text you. Commit to meet weekly unless you have personally as the host, your child is sick or you have a job issue or something's going on. always do that well in advance. I know emergencies come along that you might have to cancel day of or night before, but that's usually rare. Just communicate if for any reason your group can't meet. The cool thing is a lot of times if you have another co-leader in your group that you've identified fairly soon, even though maybe you can't be there that night, they could host the group. So just because you're not doing well, group maybe doesn't not have to meet. It could meet and meet at your co-leader's home. So that's always an option. Commit to plan quarterly projects with your group. That just takes planning, looking for ways to serve in the community. Maybe talk with your campus or your church campus pastor and find out if there's ministry areas of the church that are short on volunteers, and then maybe you as a group could fill in those areas and begin to serve, if it's in kids ministry or youth ministry or greeting or whatever it might be that's a need at that time. Commit to do life-oriented activities together. You as a host, if you have a healthy date night once a month with your spouse, it'd be a great idea if you have other couples in your group, to invite them to go out with you here and there and do fun things together. If it's camping together, different life things where you can get couples together, men together, women together, or the whole families together. That really helps the group grow on a deeper level relationally. All right? And then that moves to each member's commitment to the group. This would be something you would share as your new group kicks off. You would say, guys, here in our group, here's my commitment to you, and here's the commitment I'm asking you back to me and to the group. Ask each member to commit to attend weekly, unless, again, they have a sick child. If they're not going to be able to attend, ask them to please communicate so you can let the rest of the group know what's happening, how they're doing, just so everybody doesn't get to group on a certain night and so-and-so's not there and no one knows where they are. That's just not good communication. And it's not family. Family communicates, family knows each other and knows what's happening. So always be considerate and respectful, and let your group leader know if you're not going to be there on a certain group meeting. All right? There's a couple more things that you can go over there on that page, but let's go ahead and we'll start section 3 in just a minute, session 3. So that wraps up session 2. Session 2 is all about support. Your small group director or your coach to you back to your coach, that two-way communication, and then you to your small group member and your small group member to you. So those two sections of communication up and down the line, and great communication of important information makes things just clear. I don't know if you've ever heard the saying, what people aren't up on, they're down on. So if people aren't up on your group meeting schedule, if people aren't up on what was our homework, if people aren't up on, now where are we serving this weekend together as a group, they'll be down on it. So communicate well all the way up and down the line, and most everyone will be up on whatever's going on. Thank you.